Welcome to All Things Marketing Podcast, the podcast that talks all things marketing for both franchise and multi-location marketing leaders. ATM is brought to you by Pure Driven. We'll show you how to turn your brand into a money-making machine. Here's your host, Steve Rockwood.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Franchise ATM. My name is Steve Rockwood. I'm the marketing manager at Pure Driven. Today, I wanted to talk about video marketing, and more importantly, on the video marketing side, I want to talk about video production and really about what your video should contain and just a couple things I've learned along the way as I've been working in the video marketing field. So, first off, I do own a company on the side here that does animated video production and advertisements, so that's kind of where I'm drawing this experience from. And the big thing that I want to talk about on the podcast today was talking about timing of videos. Not when to post or when to publish, but more importantly, how long a video should be. Now, I have this rule that I created for myself and for my clients and for Pure Driven, where I like to divide everything by 5. So when it comes to videos, I like to divide by 5. And what I mean by that is if the director of sales and marketing here at Pure Driven comes up to me and says, "Hey, Steve, I'd really like if you could make a training course on Google Shopping, and if it could be about 20 minutes long because it has all this information and we think it'll be about 20 minutes. Could you do that?" And I'll say, "Yes, I can, but let's divide the 20 minutes by 5. So what do you get when you divide 20 by 5? You get 4, right? So when I divide by 5, the reason I do that is because that 4 is now how many minutes each video should be, and I want to create 5 videos. So I want to turn that 20 minutes of content into 5 separate videos that are 4 minutes long, because this will keep my audience's attention. I use that same rule for a lot of different video productions that I do. So if someone comes up to me and they want to make an advertisement for YouTube, and they say it has about 4 to 5 minutes of content, I like to divide that by 5, and I tell them, "Hey, let's divide that into 5, and let's make one video that's 5 minutes long, and it'll work great. You'll have a 5-minute video. But let's make it so that each minute of that video is like a puzzle, and you could take one piece out and it would still make sense by itself. So if I took the 3rd minute to the 4th minute, that would be its own video and it would still make sense. Because what this does is it allows them to have more options in their marketing. It basically turned 5 minutes of content into 5 minutes of content and 6 different videos so they can use that content in different ways. Now if they do email campaigns, they can send out a different minute of that video every week. They just went from having 1 email campaign to 5 or 6 email campaigns. Social media posting, same thing. They went from having 1 day of social media posts to 5 or 6 days. Same thing when it comes to your YouTube ads. Rather than run one 5-minute ad into the ground, now they can switch it up every once in a while. So it gives you more options. So I use 5 because that just tends to be the number that makes sense, but you can divide it by whatever makes sense for your content. If you want to make an hour-long podcast, maybe you want to divide it by 10 or by 20 and have little sections. That's actually the reason that this podcast is the length that it is. Usually this podcast ends up being somewhere between 6 and 15 minutes, and that's on purpose. So podcasts in general are longer, but I wanted to divide the podcast into these sections that I have different topics every time. And if I wanted to, I could combine them and it would be like one long conversation. But on their own, they're a lot easier to absorb, a lot easier to focus on, and just a lot easier for someone to listen to because it's only a few minutes of their day. They're not committing an hour and a half when they're only interested in one topic. So that's why the podcast is the length that it is. It's the same with the videos that we work on. And that's what I'm basically trying to tell you here is content is great, But if it's too long, it's not going to hold people's attention. And you're putting a ton of effort into one piece of content. So if you put a ton of effort into one piece of content, but you keep it as one piece of content, it's not going to pay off as well as if you can put a ton of effort into one piece of content while also turning that into 5, 10, or 20 different pieces of content to really fuel your marketing. So the way you can do it, let's just go through a quick example before we log off here. So let's say you want to make a training video. Let's say you want to make a cooking video, right? So let's say it's a cooking video. Everyone's probably seen a cooking video, so it's easy to explain. They're super short, right? They're really, really short. If you look at some of those on Facebook, they're super fast. They cut really quickly. They're maybe a minute and a half long. So let's use that as an example. Let's pretend that we're going to make a video on how to make a simple, perfect inside date night, right? You're having a date night in your house. This is the perfect meal to make. So we're going to have courses. So we're going to have 4 courses to this meal. If we made that as one video, it would be, let's just say, a minute for each course. So you'd have a 4-minute video. However, you can split each course into its own video. So you can have how to make the perfect date night meal, and boom, there's your 4-minute video. And then after that, you can start advertising that video and linking to that video with 1-minute segments of, here's how to make the perfect date night dessert. And then to see the full meal, click here. Here's how to make the perfect date night appetizer. It's the first minute of that video. So they just see the first minute, you're making the appetizer, and then you go, boom, if you want to see the rest of the meal, go here. So that's how you can turn content into more content and make it easier for your audience to absorb and interact with, as well as easier for you to market because now you have a lot more content in the bucket to use. I hope that's helpful. I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, please feel free to email me or find me on LinkedIn. Stephen Rockwood on LinkedIn, steve.rockwood@puredriven.com on the emails. All right. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. Have a great day, and I will see you next time on Franchise ATM.
You just listened to All Things Marketing Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to catch every new episode every day. Want to be a guest on the show? Sign up at puredriven.com/guest. See you tomorrow here at the ATM.